Like the stock market of late, Wall Street has its ups and its downs, but its principal equity is a bullish performance from Michael Douglas as a company gobbling arbitrator. Suddenly, the light, romantic lead has become a viral dynamo, calling up visions of his father Kirk in this portrait of takeover tycoon Gordon Gekko. He's a lizardly villain in Money Hell, where men with concrete souls and Versace suits play games with pensioners, pennies, and workers' paychecks. These modern day Midases come under the critical eye of an axe grinding Oliver Stone as the platoon director goes from foxhole to the trading floor with this Faustian yarn, an entertaining morality play full of flaws, flair and finger wagging, with this posturing politics and cardboard characterizations. Wall Street is not up to the director's past standards. Stone again has chosen Charlie Sheen for his naive protagonist, a man child in a moral minefield called the bull market of 1985. This time, Sheen's disillusioned soldier is a fossil broker struggling with the dark side of his nature. Surely no MBA was ever so fresh scrubbed as Sheen's Bud Fox, a model go-getter who falls under the spell of avaricious gecko, guru of greed. Bud comes from a wholesome, working-class family in Queens. His father, played by Charlie's father, Martin Sheen, is a crusty trade unionist whose good example is lost on his money hungry offspring. Bud looks down his nose at Dad's blue collar values in this fiduciary variation on the Flamingo Kid. Slightly miscast and perhaps misdirected, the younger Sheen is never hungry enough or tough enough for an aspiring tycoon. He is a one note performance that seems all the emptier opposite his father's rugged warmth and Douglas' bravura greco, who supposedly sees himself in Bud, though it's hard to imagine he was ever such a clean cut striver. Our Bud is pulling down about 50,000 a year, but he's borrowing from the old man just to stay even. And oh, he is sorely tempted by the yuppie flotsam, so beyond his reach. The automatic sushi maker, the schnabel canvases, the shadow women in dead animal skins. So he courts Gecko, finally winning his attention with a birthday gift of Cuban cigars. Gecko shreds the birthday card, but takes Bud under his wing, drawing him ever more deeply into Securities and Exchange Commission violations. Soon Bud has a penthouse full of things, objects, troves, favored by his interior decorator Darian. She's a deeply vapid gold miner played by Daryl Hannah. I want to do for furniture what Laura Ashley has done for fabric, explains Darian. Bud and Darian have a fox love affair, a sham based on their respective lusts for power and money. Hannah is principally part of the scenery, a good thing, as she hasn't given a good performance since taking off that tail. She's just another yuppie appliance, as seen by director of photographer Robert Richardson, who careens around the penthouse seeking out artifice, a distracting technique that gives us eyeball whiplash. Richardson is best at capturing the melee of market with his rocky ringside photography of frenetic traders swapping stock. Wall Street is at its weakest when it preaches visually or verbally. Stone doesn't trust the time honored storyline, supplementing the obvious moral with plenty of soapboxery. I create nothing I own, declared Gecko, just in case we've missed the point so far. In another instance, we find Bud digging into a plate of steak tartare during his first Gecko bought lunch at 21, a carnival about to chew the masses in labored symbolism. And it's at its most boring when the story relies on shop talk. But then, how Holbrook steps from being a pillar, like a one man Greek chorus, to interpret. He's contrary, who believes in holding for the long term, a great gloomy bear among the baby bulls. It's easy to see why Gecko's elegant evil is more enticing than Holbrook's broadly played naysayer, or even Martin Sheen's appealing father figure. He's cocky as a test pilot, immoral as a vampire, and fanatic as the Ayatollah. Douglas plays Gecko with a terrible intensity. He raves and rants, but he has a rascal's humor. The thing you've got to remember about wasps: they love animals and can't stand people. He confides to his protege, explaining his support of the Bronx Zoo. There's a lunacy that leaves the rhetoric in this screenplay, co written by Stone and Stanley Weiser. It's like Scrupples for social democrats. Stone has an agenda that's all too easily read, and yet it was his political ambiguity that proved the strength of Platoon, a universal a universality that let us all live through the Vietnam War. But Stone puts us above it in Wall Street. Though we are meant to descend with the camera as it dives from the skyscrapers, we sit with Stone in judgment, castigating the one dimensional money grubbers, and never once confronting our own lust for some mushroom kit. Wall Street at area theaters is rated R and contains profanity.